All right, Cowboys Nation, let's huddle up real quick. All right, guys. So yesterday afternoon, we received some breaking news as far as concerning us Dallas Cowboys moving off of not one but two of our defensive tackles. Yesterday, we moved off of our longtime veteran defensive tackle Osa Odigizua. All right, guys. So we drafted Osa Odigizua in the third round out of UCLA back in 2021. Dan Quinn's first year with us, man, and now he's on to wish him better endeavors in San Fran, man. I think definitely this is a good team he's going to. Obviously, a team that's looking forward to him contributing to that defensive side of the football. Raheem Morris is returning over there. Matt Eberflus is over there, who was our former defensive coordinator. He's on their coaching staff this year. And so, man, I wish Osa nothing but the best. But one thing I don't like that the Dallas Cowboys do is like I've seen this trend now. Like we're starting to trade some of our best players to our greatest rivals. You know what I'm saying? Trading Michael Parsons to the Green Bay Packers. I don't care if they're the only team that has the cap space to offer Michael Parsons a long-term deal. No, you're not supposed to, as a franchise, supposed to trade these players that you draft and develop to your arch rivals, you know what I'm saying, to your ops, you know what I mean? I don't like that, you know what I mean? You're supposed to trade these guys away so they can suffer, you know what I mean? Like how we did Amari Cooper, trade him to Cleveland. But, that's not a here nor there. I wish also Diggy's doing nothing but the best. And we also moved on from Solomon Thomas. Now, this something more of a sponsorship trade. Obviously, he'll be reuniting with his former coaches, Robert Saley, who was his head coach in the Jets, and also Aaron Whitecotton, who was the defensive coordinator, if I'm not mistaken, if not defensive line coach in Tennessee this year. And in exchange for both of these trades for Osa, we got a third round draft pick this year. And for an exchange of Solomon Thomas, I believe we got a 7th round draft pick. So that's that, man. Obviously, we're looking forward to utilizing a different scheme this year. Christian Parker kind of pretty much has something he wants to install, and I guess Oso Digizua and Solomon Thomas just weren't a part of that future. I think these guys are, some good players, man. They're some good locker room guys, especially somebody like a Solomon Thomas, who has done, some mental health awareness, things with Dak Prescott off the field. So, he's definitely like looks like Dak Prescott too, but man, with Solomon Thomas, nothing but the best, man. Yeah. But it's a few other things I would like to touch upon, man. Definitely the Dallas Cowboys when it comes to the defensive tackle room. Now, I definitely do with the acquisition of a Kenny Clark and the acquisition of a Quentin Williams, we're definitely starting to improve and I guess somewhat take the defensive tackle position seriously. Because I made a video way back and close to the trade deadline prior to us getting Quentin Williams. I made this video, posted on my YouTube, pretty much me describing how the Dallas Cowboys for years and years and years pretty much devalued the defensive tackle position, and they pretty much in the midst of that weren't able to necessarily draft and develop quality defensive tackles. I talk about the long-winded history of that and how other teams are able to kind of pretty much keep their rooms pretty much sharp. And so to where the point to where it's not pretty much a fall-off. And you always have to go for outside sources to kind of pretty much, help get better at the room. But yeah, man, like I talked about how, Lonnie Lott was a player that we drafted to develop. Jay Ratliff was a player that we drafted and developed. But we kind of, between Jay Ratliff and, Osa, we kind of pretty much struggled to draft and develop defensive tackles. And even with our development process with Osa, like, I feel like it was kind of pretty much a struggle for him, you know what I'm saying, at times. Like, we didn't necessarily properly vet and utilize him to maximize his potential. But yeah, man, click the link in my bio for more content, man. Follow me on every single social media platform at Jabari Showtime. Now, here's the punchline. Now, I know the number one thing a lot of people are looking forward to as us Cowboys fans and Cowboys Nation is the draft, man. And I'm just gonna say this, man. Look, it's been reported multiple times all throughout Twitter, man, that over the past couple of days, once we made these trades and acquisitions, that Osa was the last one out of the draft class of 2021. Now, this wasn't the best draft class, but you obviously have some. I think you got some hidden gems in this draft class. Obviously, some of these guys may never pan out. Obviously, Jabril Cox hasn't played in almost about 2 to 3 years. Quentin Bohan has kind of pretty much been bouncing around ever since we kind of pretty much released him. Chauncey Golston was somebody that didn't really flourish until his last year here with us underneath Mike Zimmer. Oso Digizua, obviously, with San Fran. Kelvin Joseph never panned out. Michael Parsons turned out to be a superstar. You know, et cetera, man. The list goes on, man. I think Izzy Ikwamu definitely deserves a job in the league. I just think his time in Dallas was very wasted. And also somewhat of a product of a deep cornerback room. But that's neither here nor there. We had cornerback struggles and didn't care to pick him back up. But I say this all to say that, like, we can't pretty much put too much stock in these draft picks and hope that we have a Michael Parsons in this draft and hope that we have a player that's going to have an instant impact from day one. Like, looking at this list right here, this can obviously tell us that this is not a long-term solution. And it's a solution that's very dependent. Like, every draft pick that you have isn't going to hit. You know what I mean? Like, we had a total of, if I'm not mistaken, 12 or 11, if not maybe like 10, somewhere around 10 or 11 draft picks in 2021, right? And majority of those, about 8 of those, we'll see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, well, yeah, 8 out of those 11 were defense. So, did Kelvin Joseph work out? No. Jabril Cox? No. You know what I mean? Like, Quentin Bohanna, he didn't work out for us. Izzy, you know what I'm saying? We never really used him. You know what I mean? Like, Izzy made plays, but we never really gave him the chance because a lot of times he did butt heads with the coaches. That's what they say behind closed doors. But, man, like, we just cannot put too much stock in our draft picks. This year we have 8 picks in total. We are not going to spend all 8 picks on defense. That's just a fact, man. I don't think we're going to spend all 8 picks on defense. You know what I'm saying? And look, man, we have 8 picks and only those are 2. We have 2 first-round draft picks and I believe 3 fifth-round draft picks. We don't pick in the 2nd and we don't pick in the 6th. So those are kind of like, I guess you would say, 2 pivotal rounds where you can kind of pretty much find some guys, you know, drop off or find some diamonds in the rough in that 6th round. So I think, man, look, yeah, you can value these picks, but you still have to build and play in free agency so you're not going into the draft desperate. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Like, comment, share, man. I appreciate y'all for tapping in with me. Also, Odigizua, 49er, and Solomon Thomas, a Tennessee Titan. All right, peace.